It's very good to know.
Okay, are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
Okay. So hi, Lissa. This is Jana, and I'm here with LoriKay Coleman, and I'm getting ready to read in her bio and get her feature started. So I'm excited to get this going. 3, 2, 1. Hi, and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope. I'm your host, Jana Short. Today, we have the amazing guest, LoriKay Coleman. LoriKay has a myriad of alternative healing tools that bring balance, mentality, emotionally, and physically. She is a Reiki Master, abundance alignment teacher, and is certified in investigating health and foot zoning. Oh my gosh, I had that done once. It was really painful. She will shortly have her certification in advanced chakra therapy, and as I cannot say this, Bodhi yoga teacher and a quantum therapeutic meditation. Wow, Lori, you are amazing. Her life path has surpassed her, as it has been filled with times of deep despair and in ill health, but the beauty and that hard road is she is tremendously has tremendous empathy for others and deep desire to help individuals create vibrant lives with healthy bodies and minds. She is grateful to God for the spiritual gift, and she has developed and considers him as a master healer. Ooh, I do too. She loves teaching others to use their power of their mind, body, and soul connection. I just love your bio. I adore you. And I think it's so important that people understand that there isn't a magic pill. There also isn't one road to your wellness. So you can't just focus on body and be this fitness guru and not focus on the spirit or the mind connection. So I love that you really combined all of those together. So thank you for being here, LoriKay.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. And yes, that is the truth, that you need to connect all aspects of you to have a more deep, healing, lasting experience.
Well, you and I have talked before, and we talked about your journey, and I asked you if you would please come on the show and share it. So do you mind talking about your story of hope with all of us?
My story of hope. Oh my goodness. Mine was after I had my second baby. And so I had a toddler and a newborn child, and my body just started freaking out, which looked like rashes on my hands and body, severe headaches, depression, fatigue, but pain everywhere. So it was fibromyalgia before they believed in it. And they didn't even really believe in postpartum depression back then in 1990s, the early 1990s when I had these two babies. And so anyway, when I went to the doctors, they, gave me cortisone cream, and they wanted to give me shots, and they wanted to do all these different things. And part of me, I did some of the medication, but like the shots, the cortisone shots, I didn't feel comfortable doing because I was nursing. And what I felt was I needed to find why my body was reacting this way, not just suppress the symptoms and pretend that they're not there. That's like the firemen at the station unplugging their phone saying, oh, there's no fire. Actually, there is. You just chose to unplug your wires. So I felt like I needed to figure out the why behind it. And that felt so daunting because I was exhausted. Well, this was a little roller coaster for about 4 years. And I would reach out to different doctors that would do different things, and I would get relief. I would also get relief from my spiritual practice. My family, they would fast and pray for me. And fasting means like you give up food and showing how much you want something as you pray for somebody else. And so they would do that for me, and I would be boosted by their faith. And one day I asked my husband to give me a special blessing, like a prayer over just me. And as he was doing that for me, he said things like, you will be put on a path that you will learn, and you will grow and develop things that you never would have otherwise if you hadn't experienced these kind of things. And that was really hard because I was hoping I could just have my faith just be like, I'm better, but instead I got to experience deep depression, even to the point of wanting to commit suicide. I learned that I was downwind from a cement plant that burned hazardous waste. And so it was legal. There was a loophole in the law in Texas, and they're still burning even now, even though so many people have tried to shut them down. But I was being dumped on by toxic wastes and heavy metals. And because of the state that my body was already in, because of my choice of lifestyle, that toxicity hit me super hard. That and the fact that my constitution is very delicate. And some people just have a more delicate constitution. And that's just, it comes with the package sometimes. But so this toxicity led to a lot of the migraines and the fibromyalgia and the deep depression. And I recognized that. And so I told my husband, I said, sweetheart, I know I'm going to die. I got down to 95 pounds because I became reactive to literally everything that I was eating. My body just, it was shutting down. And when I'd go to doctors, they couldn't find anything wrong with me. And so they made me feel like it was just all in my head. They didn't believe in toxicity and the toxic load of your body and your liver being overstressed and not being able to cleanse out. It was just not in their paradigm, So anyway, through my connection to me, I felt like, and I could see, and I didn't quite have a voice back then. I couldn't share with my husband how much pain I was in. I couldn't share. I mean, he could see the rashes. He was doing all the cooking. He was doing all the cleaning. I would cry as I tried to even dress my children. I would use my feet to help me try and change their diapers. I would look up at the ceiling and say, wow, look at how beautifully clean it is up there. Because I could not pick up around myself. And I would find ways to get myself out of the house, even though I felt like crap, didn't want to be around anyone, but I knew that the inner power in me is just like, girl, you've got to go. You've got to get out and be around people. It'll buoy you up. And so I made myself do things that were so hard. And then I'd come home and just collapse in exhaustion because I used every ounce that I had to feel aliveness during that hour. Or I would go and find someone to serve during that hour. Or sometimes I would find someone just to talk to uplift them. And so I knew I needed to leave that environment or else I would die. And so I had my parents living in Arizona, and my plan was to go live with them. And I told my husband, I said, sweetheart, I have to leave, and I hope you can come with me. And miraculously, he was able to get his company to move him to Arizona, where they didn't even need him, but they loved our family and wanted to support us. And it just shows me how God just helps. He just helps you out when you're reaching and trying to find your healing.
When you got to Arizona, did your body automatically start?
Oh, I wish it was just a boom. No, it wasn't. When you have such severe toxicity, and in all honesty, we all have this toxic load. And the toxic load is becoming more and more profound because of the environment, the food, the air, but also the water. But our food has so many chemicals and it taxes our bodies. And so for me, there was a time when I was in Texas still, and I was so angry at God. I basically was yelling at him. And I'm like, how dare you do this to me? I was so angry. And then after I, was done yelling at him, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to listen. And what came to my mind was I chose this path. I'm like, whoa, what? No, I didn't choose this path. And I had gotten, when we got engaged, I prayed about what kind of birth control to go on. I chose to go on the pill, even though it did not feel right. I knew I had inspiration not to do that. I didn't like that answer. I wanted to finish my teaching degree. My mother didn't finish her teaching degree, and she dropped out 1 year before she graduated. My father got cancer in his 40s, 5 children. Who is going to support this family? very scary times. I was determined that I was going to do it my way and be prepared. So I got on the pill, and that was the beginning of it hurting my body. So I had candida systemically everywhere, in the brain, in the tissues. My gut was allowing everything that I ate to go directly into my bloodstream to be attacked like it was allergic. Well, it was allergic to everything. So it wasn't just move here and boom, you're better. It took another 3 or 4 years of finding the doctors and the people. What gave me my life back at that time was a procedure called NAET. And it's a combination of homeopathy and acupuncture that treated me for every single thing that had ever went to my mouth. So they have a little vial of something, and the vibration of that food you hold in your hands while they are putting acupuncture needles in, and it's retraining your body to accept the vibration of that food. And so that I did that for a full year, and that's when I started. I'm like, wow, he gave me back my life, but there was so much more healing that had to be done. Subconscious programs, more cleansing. I have been healing literally for 20 years now. It's been not a horrible journey, but it has not been an easy journey. But I would get better and better, and in each plateau of better just felt like, because it was not the down low place. And so that's the beauty, is you can always get up to one next level and feel so well. And then it comes to the awareness, if you are still wanting to be more. I wasn't willing to settle not having energy to have fun with my children. And so I was always looking for another, what's the next piece? What's the next piece? And so I was always praying. And my deal with God was, tell me 3 times. And then I would spend the money on that thing. And so, and some of the things that helped me the most was yoga, which, and honestly, to this day, I don't like yoga. But I heard it 3 times, and one of them was a free experience different styles of yoga. And before I go experience anything, I always try to tune in. And I'm like, okay, help me know if this is something that will be helpful to me, and help me be protected while I go expose myself to this new thing. Because I've gone to Buddhist temples, I've gone to I've gone to all sorts of places, and I'm a very devout Christian. But as I was praying in my church's temple, I was told it was okay to go to this other program that happened to be in a Buddhist temple. I'm like, wow, okay, truth can be found in so many places. And that was where I needed some help. And I'll tell you about what I learned there. So in that Buddhist temple, they did an exercise where you took the cords that were not serving you attached to people. So I had they just had you imagine any cords from relationships that have been hard, and imagine releasing those cords so that is no longer feeding into you. And so what came to my mind was to release a cord from a previous boyfriend, my first boyfriend, when I was 18. We broke up because I felt like we were getting too close physically. And in my paradigm, chastity is very important. I was determined to keep that safe for when I was married. And so we were getting closer to that kind of thing. And so I broke up with him. And we chose to live in different states to go to college. Well, it was so hard. What I wanted to do was break up for a time, and then we'd get back together after he did some service in our church, and after we had a little bit more age behind us. And it was so hard to go. What I learned after releasing these cords, they said those people will reach out to you. They'll feel the difference. After it had been 17 years or so of him not contacting me, he reached out to me in 6 months. And when I went to visit with him, he lived in another state. I realized I had closed my heart off. He's like, were you okay when we broke up. I'm like, I was so fine. I had the best time of my life. I was dating so much. I was going on like 5 dates a week and just having fun and being free. And then he's like, oh, okay, I just wanted to make sure you were okay. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, how was I able to do that? And the way I was able to do that is I separated a part of my soul away. I took a part of my heart and put it in a box that I didn't have access to so I could move forward. I took a part of my sexuality and said, you are not allowed. I literally turned off my sex drive, which I couldn't figure out how to turn back on for over a decade. But meeting this man and him saying, were you really okay? I just wanted to apologize. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, what did I do to be so okay? And that was some programs, some things that I had done to myself that needed to be healed. And that's what being in that Buddhist temple showed me. And then I started learning ways to tap into my subconscious beliefs of I'm of no worth and I'm not good enough and all these other things that need to be rewritten and not be played out so I could have my healing.
I love your story. And the most that I take away from it is I say all the time, your wellness isn't a destination. You will never get there. It's a journey. And we definitely have to have those highs and lows. And I love that you said it didn't happen overnight. It didn't. And so for those of you who are listening to the show right now and you feel exhausted, she fought for years, like years to get out of that. And I know that it's still a journey for her because I know it's not a destination.
Still a journey.
Right. So she's still on the journey and we can always do better, be better, treat ourselves with more. And so I love that if you're listening to this right now and you're maybe in that dark spot and you thought, I've done this for years and I'm over this, it's not working. There is something out there. Is.
Yes. And the key, okay, what I have learned is that our feelings and thoughts are a vibration. And despair is a very low vibration. And then it attracts lower and heavier things. And so if you can raise your vibration and try and find something to be grateful for. I was looking at the ceiling. I was grateful for a clean ceiling. And if I saw cobwebs, I chose another place to be grateful for. You have to get into a place of gratitude. It's a literal vibration that is healing. And so finding ways, the kind of music you choose to listen to, it raises your vibration. Choosing to use essential oils raises your vibration. Doing simple tapping. I teach my clients now to do tapping exercises that raises their vibration. Breathing in certain patterns raises your vibration. And to not beat yourself up when you're just laying on the couch and you can't move. What you do is you give yourself gratitude and touch yourself. Say, oh, sweetheart, I know you're doing the best you can. And we are going to choose to just relax right now and give and talk to your body as if it's a child. Know your body. It's doing the best it possibly can. And it needs your gratitude. And I learned to celebrate the simplest things. I mean, I'm going to be frank. I celebrate every time I have a bowel movement. I'm like, woohoo, good job, little tummy. Because I struggle with so much digestion. My father and mother both died of colon cancer. We have food issues in my genetics. I also learned that our genetics can change. There are little molecules above those genes, and our actions change those molecules. We do that by choosing what we put in our mouth. We do that by choosing what is going into our brain. We have the power to do it, but we have to have love for this vehicle that we have been given. I gave so much anger to my body. I was just mad. I was mad at my body. I was angry that it was hurting. I just sent anger to me so much. And then I learned, oh, that's not very helpful to healing.
This is definitely not helpful to healing, but I 100%, if you take away nothing from this talk, take away that. Take away that we need to talk to our bodies. We need to celebrate. We need to tell them they're doing okay. You got this. Just say those words you want to hear from someone else to yourself. Show yourself that love 100%. Like I get up every morning and tell myself, you're going to have the best day ever. It's going to be awesome. And I do celebrate little things because for me, eating food is a celebration. I don't have a stomach. Eat and keeping it down, bigger celebration. And I'm always telling, oh, I'm so grateful to you for doing this for me today. Thank you. Like I knew you could do it. And I talk to myself all the time. I probably should be committed, but I am a firm believer in showing yourself love, celebrating in everything, even those little things. I was grateful that I was still breathing and I had another day to move forward, right? And so I would wake up in the hospital or when I was finally sent home, I'm grateful I'm here today. What kind of memory can I take with me? What kind of memory can I create and leave here? So I love that you are talking about treating yourself so well and showing yourself that self-love. And it doesn't have to be, people think, oh, that means I have to spend an hour at the spa. Oh, that means I have to. No, it's just talking to yourself better on a daily basis. Be that voice, be that inner voice, that inner power of kindness to yourself. You will start self-loving yourself so much. You lift up that vibration. And when you put that self-love and that vibration out to the world, wait till you see what you attract.
Yeah. Well, and another thing I'd like to teach people is, okay, when you have an open-ended question, what would it be like if? What would it be like if I could know what my body needs right now? Because sometimes we don't know what is the right path or the right thing to do. And so if you ask it in an open-ended question, I believe it does things for different reasons. One, it gets into your subconscious brain, and then that brain is like, oh, she wants to know, well, let me figure that out. And then it starts finding the solutions. And then two, I think it's almost like a prayer. And so it's like, I believe we have angelic teams around us. And when they hear us say that, they're like, oh, she used her agency. She's asking for help. Let's bring this to her. What would it be like? Well, it'd be this. So your conscious mind does not need to know the answer. You just ask it as an open-ended question. Go on with your day and have your eyes be open to what you see. Have your ears be open to what you hear. And then something will ping you. You'll be like, oh, and then go explore that. And that might be the next little baby step that you need on your path.
By the way, I love that. I call it, because I'm an intuitive, and I call it being aware, keeping your eyes open. And it gives me confirmation that I'm on the right path. Like this is where I'm being led to go, because we fight where we're being led to go. And I'm going to bring up what you said earlier. You knew birth control for you was not the right decision.
But I thought I knew better than God.
But you're like, oh, well, everybody else is doing it, right? So I'm going to this is going to work because I have this plan. And so you made a conscious decision to do something. It's not even, I'm not even going to say it's a right or wrong answer, but what I'm trying to say is we are very intuitive about our bodies, and we get sent those intuitive signals first. And when you ignore them, so let's just say, ooh, I've got some burning in my chest, but I feel fine. Oh, it's happening more often. Something just, I feel a little tired. Those are like intuitive things. Your head's saying something's wrong. Go, you need to be seen. Then your body sends you symptoms, right? They're not listening to the intuitiveness. It's right there.
Let's talk louder.
Yes. And then you're like, oh, it's a little bit worse, but I do not have time. I have a full schedule. I have this coming up and an event, and you ignore it. Then after those little symptoms, you get full chronic blowout and your brain will tell you, look, if you're not going to take this seriously, I'm going to knock you down where you have no other choice. So listen to those intuitive voices in your head. And it's okay. Like you chose something that sent you on a path that caused a lot of heartache for you. But here's the thing, your choice wasn't wrong. Because had you not gone on that journey, you would not be here today sharing this story with other women.
I wouldn't have the compassion that I have for other people. And I literally have developed spiritual gifts where now, it might sound really strange, but I'm able to move molecules with my faith. I feel into the physical reasons something's wrong, the emotional reasons, the mental reasons, and the spiritual reasons why someone's body is not functioning right. I have that person meditate, and so that they are using their agency to ask for things to be changed. And I go in and imagine, I see in my mind cleaning off these things so that their body can function better. And so I've developed spiritual gifts because of this hardship.
So sometimes God even gifts us when we do the wrong thing for ourselves, right? There was this beautiful gift at the end, like if you can just get there. And I hear people say all the time, I prayed so hard, I'm angry with God. I prayed for this and I didn't get it and I deserve it. Why didn't I get it? God does give you everything you need, everything you need. He gives that to you. Sometimes what we think we need or what we want, it's not even a need. He sees the big picture. So he was there with you your whole journey, whether you felt like he abandoned you or not. He was there.
I thought he had abandoned me
Yep.
big time. I was kind of mad at him.
And he saw the big picture. Just hang in there, LoriKay. At the end of this, you are going to be so surprised at the miracle that happens. And you hung in there and you started following those impulses to move to Arizona. That's a big impulse move, right?
Oh, it's huge. To tell my
Yeah.
husband that I have to be gone and I hope you can come with me. Hello?
Yep. But you started following those, right? And that was exactly where your journey wanted you to go. I do the same thing though. When I put something out into the world that I want to have happen and do, I start paying attention to see if I get confirmations, meaning somebody might say, oh, have you thought about writing a book? Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Or someone else that, ooh, that story is amazing. It should be in a book. And these little confirmations are like, oh my gosh. Okay, first I had the intuition to do it. Then I had that sort of drive and passion. And then I start hearing all these confirmations just that I wouldn't normally have heard popping up. That's my green light to go.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I love your story, and I'm so grateful that you came on the show to share, because I know that it's still painful but joyous, right? And that sharing it with others, I know someone's going to hear this story and be like, I've been struggling with this for years. I just do not have the energy to do it one more day. This might be the one day, though, that it changes. Tomorrow might be the day that things start to change. So don't give up on yourselves.
And I offer so many free tools where you can get a little bit of relief for some time, both with physical symptoms and emotional symptoms. And I just have little videos on Facebook on my Healing 4 Bodies. It's the number 4. And there's little tapping and breathing exercises that are actually very powerful because it gets you out of the fight or flight, calms your vagus nerve down, works with your lymphatic system. It helps in so many different ways, these different things. And some of them even help with your brain to start seeing the solution. There's a filter in your brain, and it's called the RAS, R-A-S, and it gets awakened, and then you start seeing the solutions by doing these tapping processes. Very simple, doesn't take a lot of energy, and there's solutions out there. There are, that you can have relief right now.
Well, we're going to definitely put all the links to LoriKay so that you can connect with her and get some of those solutions, or book a session with her, or get to know her better, or even just get in her tribe and start following her around. She's doing some really great things. I know by the time this airs, she will have already done one of her first summits, and it is already phenomenal. I'm so proud of you, because that's a lot of work. By the way, it's the one thing I say no to doing one, because it is so much work.
Yes, it literally put me in the freeze state. I could not, I had to use my techniques to pull me out of that panic place, that freeze. And it was very scary, very big. I did not want to be seen. I did not want my voice to be heard. And, but yet I felt God, I felt like I have tools that needed to be brought to a larger audience. And so I gathered 24 experts to share their tools. And then I also was told by God to have me be an interview too. So I'm actually going to be one of the people being interviewed.
Awesome. You should
Which is
be.
not the way you are supposed to do a summit.
But you should be. Like, this is powerful stuff. It needs to get out there. I always tell people, share your story, because your story, something in your story could be the miracle somebody's waiting for somewhere else. So share that story, because it puts that beautiful ripple effect out into the world that creates this incredible change.
Yeah. And that's the one last thing I like to leave is, sometimes you have to go, there's a social norms, that the right way of doing things. So like the right way of doing the summit would be me not to tell my story, me not to do anything, me just to talk to the experts and listen to them. That's the way my coaching was given to me. Just because you're told it doesn't mean you need to follow it. You follow what your inner voice says and what your higher voice says, not what other people to you are saying. And so sometimes you have to go against the norm to find what is right for you. And not that we have to go around being rebels about everything, but we just have to be willing to be brave enough to trust what's been given here, regardless of what, that internal authority. Look in there.
When I was growing up, I always wanted to be normal.
I so wanted to be normal.
I know, because to me that meant you were accepted, you were okay, it was validation. But my mom always had this phrase that she would say to me, and I don't want to cuss on here, but so I'm going to bleep it out basically. But she would always whisper in my ear, honey, the masses are, whatever would rhyme with that, dare to be unique and different. And I always heard that when I was trying to squeeze into that norm. I'm just not. I'm definitely unique. So is every one of you. So let your little freak flag fly. Be unique, be different. And for me, going into holistic medicine, that was a freak flag. That was unconscious. Nope, that wasn't happening. I have a husband that is a veterinarian. I have an internist, nurses. They were all science-based. And when you talk about essential oils, our frequencies, our meditation, they were poo-poo, no. But when you were that sick, try it. Just try anything, like whatever will help you. I hope that you guys aren't waiting until you're that desperate and that sick to start trying something that you're intuitively being drawn to.
Well, and that was, I guess there's one other little piece. I had a subconscious program that I had no worth. And I felt like money could not be spent on me for the healing. And so that's why I drug it out sometimes. And that's why I wouldn't tell my husband how painful I was, because if I would have shared, we would have found the resources. We would have gone to my parents and got the resources. The resources would have shown up somehow. But I had a part of me that didn't feel valued, that felt trapped. And I needed to work on that self-esteem piece. And as I've tried to work on that, that's when I was able to start really moving forward.
By the way, I would guarantee you most women feel the same way. And I don't even know that it's so much even not having the right self-worth, but we feel like we're taking away from our family. We're taking food out of our children's, right?
For my kids, but not for me.
Right. I always tell moms, why don't you fight for your health? When your doctor says something you don't understand, why don't you stand up? Because if it were your child and intuitively you knew something was wrong, it would take an act of God to move you. You would be like, nope, we're fixing this today, now. But for us, we just say, okay, thank you, I'll try that. And we walk out knowing something's wrong, something's seriously wrong, and I need help. But yet we walk away, but not for our kids. We need to fight for ourselves like that.
Yeah, because when we function better, we are in a place to serve more and connect more deeply. And just, anyway, it's important. It's not easy, but it is very important.
Well, LoriKay, how can people connect with you? We're going to have it all in the show notes, but for people who are just listening, I want them to know how to connect with you.
My website is enlightenedlifepath.com, and that's ENLIGHTENED, Enlightened Life Path, LIFEPATH.com. And I can be found on Facebook. Right now, my Facebook has my old business name, Healing 4 Bodies. And the number 4 is a 4. And the 4 bodies are your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, and your spiritual body. And so those are the 2 ways to find me. And yes, and I will have the summit recordings available. If you reach out to me and say, hey, you said it could be the discounted price, I will give you the discounted price, which I think is going to be like $48 for the 25 interviews, which are about 30 to 50 minutes long a piece, sharing the different tools of how to release stress and past trauma, have a peaceful mind, and the power to move forward.
Well, that's amazing. I cannot wait. By the way, you'll hear a recording from me because I'm in there. So yay, tune in. Thank you so much, LoriKay. I really appreciate your time for joining us on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much, Jana. I appreciate your time too. I'm so glad we had this connection.
Me too.